welcome to another one of our ARC reviews. Today we'll be discussing Blood Coven, which is the first book in the new Bloodbound trilogy, and it is published by Quill Crow and written by Sabrina Voerman. I hope I said that right. Now, this book came out on the 13th of September, and I got this book as an ARC about a month or so ago, and I read it a few weeks ago, and I'm just late putting this video up, so please bear with me. So we all know the tale of Little Red Riding Hood by Charles Perrault and Little Red Cap by the Brothers Grimm. Fairy tale dive coming on those two, coming soon. Shameless self-promotion, I know. But this is a retelling, a reimagining, if you will. A world incorporating women, witches, wolves, and a curse that stretches through the generations. If you're hooked already, then the link to the selling page is down in the description below. But bear with me because this is an ARC review. There will be no spoilers here, no deep discussion of what happens in the book, because it was an ARC and no spoilers allowed. So this story opens up with the reader's introduction to this curse. And this is in the form of a discussion between two characters who are not named, and we don't find out who they are until much later in the book. But they are discussing how this curse works. And the curse of the wolf comes in that if you sacrifice your daughter and read from this scroll, then you get to control the wolf on the full moon. And you can use the wolf to do your bidding, kill rival families. Every member of that family, not just one person, but the whole family can be wiped out, which is a wonderful introduction to this world of menace. And I love it. So we switch to Matthias's point of view. He is one of our main characters, and we come to him, and he has had just one hell of a time. He has been cursed with lycanthropy, which is the curse of the werewolf. And the only person that he knows to turn to try and get rid of this curse is the local witch, Azalea, his mother. But they have a fractured relationship, to say the least. If he could go to anybody else, he would. But because of her knowledge, she is the only person that will know if there is a way of breaking this curse of the werewolf. So in Matthias's section, we get introduced to his character, we get introduced to his mother, Azalea, and we get introduced to his younger sister, Juniper. Juniper and Azalea are both witches. Juniper is just learning, and they have a fractured family dynamic because of something that Azalea did years prior, which caused Matthias to leave and never come back until this curse, when he has no choice. And then we switch to Red's point of view. She is our female main character, and she is the Red Riding Hood character, essentially. Now, she is around about 17 years old at this point, and she and her family live in this village, and every family is a bit poor, and every family is not exactly fractured, but there's something going on behind the closed doors. Red's home life, Red's family life is filled with abuse, and this is from her father, from her mother, from her grandmother especially, and she has no sanctuary from this in the beginning. Her only sanctuary is the forest. The only positive connection that Red has in her world is her best friend Alina. But even with Alina, things are not always as they are portrayed, because this is 2 weeks away from the full moon, and things are bubbling under the surface. A lot of things will come to a head, and it's very timed in accordance with this. So the story flips between Matthias's point of view, which is some 400 years earlier, and Red's point of view, which is kind of modern day, but still kind of sort of medievally type. So the story flips between these timelines, which are 400 years apart, and they end up colliding in a spectacular fashion. But the reader doesn't feel like disconnected because of these time jumps, which can sometimes happen when you have a long span of time. But they're entwined so intricately that the reader doesn't feel disconnected from either character or either side of events at any moment in time. My one criticism of this is something that happens right at the end, and I mean right at the end, but I won't be going really into it because it would include a lot of spoilers. So I'm going to attempt to dance around this event without actually saying what it is. So it's an event that's perpetrated by a character that sort of comes in, does a thing, impacts the whole thing, and then leaves. Now that character doesn't have a name, it's not somebody you already know, which I think it would have been better if it was somebody that we already know. A named character or a character that had been sort of on the periphery for the whole thing. But the event that this character does is so deep in the plot that it just seems to have been dropped in there to move it along a bit. For me, it would have been better if the character was named or if it was somebody that we already knew. I mean, it might be in the final release because this was just an arc, so that is just my little criticism, as it were. But for me, I really, really love reading this. I mean, look at that cover. It's just amazing. The simplicity of the black, the white, and then the hint of red dripping down like blood is just perfection. Now, the main aspect that made me really, really like this book is, although you're in the points of view of characters like Red and Matthias, and even Azalea and some of the other ones, you're never really sure what that character's true motives are. Even though you're with them on this journey, and you're even reading their points of view, you're never sure what their end game is. Even if they say what their end game is, there's sort of, you're never quite trusting of their motives, which is a wonderful, refreshing thing to happen. And so you'll be sat reading it and think, I really like this character, and you think, oh, what did they do? Oh no. But then you still go on liking them because you've been in their point of view and you can kind of understand why they do what they do when they do it, which is a really weird way of saying it, but bear with me, this book is good. But yeah, I really like this. You're never really sure what's going on under the surface with the characters, with the setting, with any character who comes in, and you're not, and I like that some of the identities of these characters are only revealed at the end, so it keeps you guessing the whole way through the book as to who these characters really, really are. So for me, this book gets a wonderful 4 stars, and it totally deserves it. It didn't get the 5 for me just because I felt it could have been more in-depth and gone on longer. I like books that go on longer and have that depth into it. But as I said, this is the first in a series, and I am really, really looking forward to what this author brings to the table next. I'm so looking forward to it. And in a world of betrayals, revenge, and howls in the night, always remember to never stray from the path. And as always, keep reading.